Hello, G fans. This is Damian for Universe G, and uh, in this video, I wanted to touch the subject of the past photos that we have seen related to the different areas where we see pictures of sinkholes or depressions in the earth. They were released when the viral campaign started uh, for the M.U.T.O research website, the legendary and Warner Bros. Release a week or so ago. Now, the reason why I touched the subject is some people have been talking about it, and it's a very interesting subject because uh, there's something about this that we already know is related to the storyline of the Godzilla reboot for 2014, and because of this relation with these sinkholes, with these places that have been put in pictures and have been mentioned, like the Devil's Throat, which is actually here in the United States, and other sinkholes. One is in Venezuela, and one is in a Middle Eastern country. It's very interesting to see how they might possibly relate the sinkholes in the storyline and with the creatures or monsters or mutants or M.U.T.O, which we really don't know what the name's going to be. We already know that the organization actually uses the acronym M.U.T.O, M-U-T-O, on their vehicles. We've seen pictures. You can see in the pictures actually, as I am recording this up, you'll probably see some pictures pop up of those, what I'm talking about. But and the reason why I want to touch that subject is because it's, like I said, it's very interesting. And keeping in mind, first we got to understand what these type of depressions or sinkholes are, and they're very particular because and they are, I mean, many of them all over the world. So this is another reason why I think it makes sense for them to include this in the storyline. The people that wrote this story, you got to give them credit because as you look into these things, they've been giving us hints. Actually, one of the photos that had the M.U.T.O name on it, or the M.U.T.O insignia that you see that looks like a shield with a little nuclear picture in the middle. Actually, that came out a couple of months ago. There was a picture, but it was in Japanese, and nobody noticed really what it said for whatever reason. I don't even think people from Japan said anything that would have given us hints here to figure that out. But in that photo that actually came before the viral campaign, and I'm going to show the photo here also in the video, you see that there's the logo for M.U.T.O there, but it's in Japanese, so I guess it got overlooked. But some of the guys in my group in Universe G and the M.U.T.O emergency group, they were talking about that, and one of the guys noticed that, and they started a conversation, and one of the guys translated and said it basically was that only people can enter here, certain people, like in other words, this area is torn off, and only people with proper, identification can go into the site where that picture came out. Now, going back to the sinkholes, which is the interesting thing. First, let me explain what these types of these depressions, because they're very particular. It's not just like a simple sinkhole. Okay, now a sinkhole is a natural depression or hole caused by the karst process, and what the karst process is when soluble materials like bedrock break down. Okay, now and that is caused by natural effects, naturally, through the many thousands of years. Eventually it starts eroding, and and if you know about bedrock is made into, and it's kind of like sheets of, and as it breaks off, it slides down and falls to the bottom. Well, that's what how these depressions form. You see the walls start sliding down, and eventually you get a big open space. And some of these sinkholes and these depressions, these natural depressions, are huge. They're immense, and it makes sense that maybe this is the hotbed where the creatures or the M.U.T.Os have been developing, have been growing, Maybe they are from the hole. Maybe they were affected by radiation, by our you know, lack and misunderstanding of what we're doing to the world. You know, all these stuff starting, these chemicals, these things started, you know, getting into these places, and these whatever they are, creatures, whether it's an insect or whatever it started from, develop into these creatures. Because Gareth did mention, you know, in a way, you know, jokingly, that he said that he wanted to see a world, you know, which maybe was a hint that he wanted to see a world that, you know, like in the Godzilla world, you know, there's monsters, there's mutations, there's other monsters, and he wanted to see that develop. And maybe in the story, you know, the governments know about monsters. Maybe now we all don't know, but maybe they've been keeping track. And maybe M.U.T.O, the organization M.U.T.O, maybe they are the ones that are keeping track of these monsters and making sure that they don't get into the populous areas, and then they just get too big and everything gets out of control, and then humans do something else. Maybe they create another monster, and just things get out of hand, which is a possibility that, you know, we tend not to, when we do something and then it gets out of control, a lot of times when we try to take care of it, it's too late. By the time humans have that trait that we get the things too late, and then it gets out of hand. But you know, the sinkholes, that's a sinkhole basically, and that's what I want to talk about. That you know, that how that's that form. But you know, these places, they're so huge that some of these sinkholes haven't been totally explored yet. They're still exploring them, and the particular one is the one which is the Nama sinkhole, which is the one in Venezuela, which is the one you see the picture with the helicopters. They call that one too Humboldt Caves. The Humboldt Caves are called the Sima Humboldt Caves. So they're very they those are the ones that we see there in the many pictures you see. And those ones are, you know, those are also huge, but there's other bigger ones. Not that's one that they showed in the picture, but there's others. I could, you know, there's a lot of famous ones, and I'm going to talk about them. For example, you got the Cervino, which is a sinkhole in Croatia, and that one is 530 meters deep. Imagine, 530 meters deep. That's huge. That's a pretty deep depression. Then you got the Cima de la Cotoras, or Cotorras, I'll say it with the proper spelling, Cima de la Cotorras, which is in Mexico, and that one is 140 meters deep. Then we have the Great Blue Hole, which is a depression actually near the island of Belize, which is 124 meters deep. It's actually near these islands, and you can see it looks like a blue hole in the ocean. You know, in near the island of Belize, and it looks like a dark blue. The rest of what looks light blue, but because this is so deep, it looks like a big round dark hole in the water. Then you got the Hardwood Hole, which is New Zealand, which is 183 meters deep. Then you have the Devil's Den in Florida. We have here in Florida, where I live. I didn't even know this. You know, that you learn something new. I didn't even know that there was something like this, and I'm gonna go visit it. Now that I know, I'm gonna go visit, because this is so cool to think that this might something that might be in the movie. There's a lot of things that I'm seeing now as I research this that could possibly be that we might be seeing scenes in certain locations that we weren't expecting. You know, a lot of filming happened. I found out by one guy that they were filming in Las Vegas. So there's a lot of things going on in this movie that we might see little things just to lead us to the climatic scene, or wherever happens. If there's going to be a big monster battle or whatever is going to happen, there's going to be, you know, we're probably going to get these little bits of information as the movie develops, probably when we sit there to watch it once it's out. And then we have the Balaa sinkhole in Lebanon, which is 53 meters deep. We have the Xiao Ozai Taiyin Ken, which is in China sinkhole, which is this is actually the deepest one. It's 662 meters deep. So that's unimaginable. That's huge. That's deep. And then we got Dean's Blue Hole in the Bahamas, which is 203 meters deep. That's pretty deep too for a hole in the water. There's another one in the water, depression in the water. And then like I said before, the one that's very particular is the Sari Nama sinkhole, which is known, which is the ones that we see in the photos, in the pictures from M.U.T.O. So The interesting stuff happening here with these sinkholes. Maybe in the storyline, they're all they could be there's some of them. Maybe there's an underground caverns and things, and these creatures are traveling, and that's how they're getting out. And eventually, there's so many, and they start coming out in these different places, causing havoc. It's so fascinating to see, and also these sinkholes have species in them that some of them have not even been discovered. That some are even unknown. So mutations, the possibility of mutations, we don't know. It could be a lot of different things that could become monsters. I even talked about in an earlier video that it could be also a human being. That's another possibility. A human could become a mutated thing. It's a possible. In modern times, there's been certain experiments with humans that probably have been kept hush hush, and in the reality of skin, in the great scale of things, that's probably happened if they clone sheep and other things. Who knows what scientists are doing behind closed doors, and the dangers that it might be putting us into. It not just might be, in the reality of, we're not going to see a gigantic creature, but it might be, in a disease or something. But getting back to the Godzilla thing, we're seeing all these things. You have to imagine, that if this is how it's going to develop, we're going to have a world probably full of monsters. Humans are going to be living in a world full of monsters, and these sinkholes might be the birthplace, might be the home, might be the exits and the entrances for these creatures, and that's why they're emphasizing them. So it's exciting stuff. I wanted to share that with you guys. I hope that you get something out of it. If you have any ideas, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this. You have any other ideas? If you want to hear something else, like I said before, or you're interested in something else, I always like to share my thoughts with you guys. And thanks for watching. And this is Damian for Universe G.